Good morning, first day in Seoul. Now I'm not fully happy to admit this, but we did go to Starbucks for the first point of call. Reason being, in my defense, I'm vegetarian and I don't drink regular milk. So yeah, the first stop was Starbucks and I got myself an oat milk caramel macchiato. Basic, I know. However, we've got this absolutely ridiculously delicious pistachio donut thing. If you come to South Korea, I know most of you are going to say don't go to Starbucks, but if like me you need a specialty coffee in the morning and you don't want to faff around, get the donut because it's delicious. We were very unprepared, unplanned when it comes to this trip, so we're very much just kind of googling places on the day, which is our kind of thing. Like, we're quite laid back when it comes to traveling, so it's just a case of we get there and just Google places and everything kind of tends to work out well. So far that's been our experience of traveling together. So we're gonna go and see some of the palaces today and then go to some of the market districts. It is cold, it's like 10 degrees, but the sun is out and it is glorious. I feel like this is kind of the best weather though when you are exploring a city, so you don't get too hot, but at the same time, like, everything looks so pretty because the sun's out. Okay, so first port of call is Gyeongbokgung. Yep, pronunciation probably butchered. Palace. But this is really cool. This is the biggest one there is here in Seoul. It's massive inside. You can kind of see on the way here. It's pretty cool. We walked through some markets. Like, it's insane to see such a built-up city with the backdrop of the mountains. Like, I know there are many in the world, but there's just something about Seoul that's particularly impressive because the buildings are so huge and they're quite spaced out, so you really do have this like insane juxtaposition. But very excited to see the palace. This was one of the main things I wanted to do when we came to Seoul.
We were so lucky because when we arrived, they were doing a reenactment of the changing of the guards, and it was just such an amazing way to see the palace. I believe they do this every hour. We got these audio guides, by the way, which are really cool, so you can do them in all different languages. So you just buy them where you buy the tickets, and there's a map of the place, and you use this little pen, and you basically put the pen onto a place on the map, and then it will teach you about that area. This is the map, and then this is the pen that you get. So you basically just tap on a place with the map, and then it will start speaking about the area in your ear and telling you all about it. So you basically just walk around and tap on the map as you're going and then learn about it. Okay, this is so cute. If you rent one of the traditional dresses, or the gentleman, one of the traditional outfits I should say, you can actually get into the palace for free, but they all look so cute. There's a bunch of different shops. I know a friend of mine did it. There's a bunch of different shops. You go, you rent it for the day, and they put, you know, beautiful jewels in your hair and all that kind of thing. We didn't have the time for that today, but I think it's such a fun thing to do if you've got more time on your hands, and it's so cute for pictures, especially in the sunshine. They're all glittering away. This place is absolutely huge. Definitely leave a couple of hours to enjoy it, especially if you're dressing up, because there will be so many photo opportunities. It is so ridiculously gorgeous at this time of year. So just in case I don't post this immediately, we're here November. So first week of November, the autumn leaves in this particular area, so incredibly stunning. Like, they're making it. There are such beautiful trees here, and they're all different kinds and types, and they just perfectly accent the buildings. Talk about stunning. Look at these autumn leaves. I can't. Like, genuinely, I know we're here to see the palace, but I'm just in love with all of the trees. Okay, we've wrapped up the palace. It's incredibly beautiful. Highlight, as you know, the trees, absolutely stunning. So definitely try and come in spring or autumn. Otherwise, really beautiful. Audio guide, take or leave it. You can probably just read enough to understand what you're looking at. I wouldn't say there was anything particularly interesting in the audio guide, but we just love to get one in general. It is super busy, okay? So if you want to get pretty pictures or have the place to yourself, do come mega early because it's probably one of the biggest tourist attractions I've seen in a while in terms of the amount of people per space. I wanted a sweet treat. Guys, look at these. It's like marshmallow flamed on top of the ice cream, cheesecake or brownie. You know I have to get one.
It's so good. Now I've had the ice cream one. Yeah, this is a cheesecake one. Okay, swap back. I feel like I chose the right one.
Your lip, my love. There you go.
Oh my god, look, you can buy just a roasted sweet potato, street food wise. That's my jam. Key ring, anyone? London.
London.
Yeah.
So beauty.
Yeah, thank you. All right, not ashamed to admit it, but jet lag has got to us, so we've ordered room service. This room is so beautiful, but they did have quite a cool menu. I got some kimchi cheese fries, which for a veggie option in Korea, these look pretty insane. And then this is a pork burger that came with wings and fries. And then we got some wine. The bath is filled. The bath here is amazing. I had one last night, even though we got in like completely wrecked from jet lag. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need a bath. And I was just doing a TikTok showing you all of the skincare products that I bought. I literally got 10 sheet masks, pimple patches, collagen masks. I got a face wash. I got niacinamide serum. I got these two apparently mega spenny in this lifetime. 24 karat gold anti-aging products. I basically got a bunch of stuff whilst we were shopping, all for £80, which I think is epic. I only bought one product with me, which is this stuff. If you follow me on TikTok, by the way, I talk a little bit more about this kind of thing on there, but this is what I take my makeup off with. Kiehl's Midnight Botanical Cleansing Oil, but I didn't bring any other products because obviously we all know as ladies, the skincare in South Korea is next level. So I'm quite excited to just use all my skincare and then go to bed. We're up super early in the morning because we're gonna go and do a DMZ tour. So I feel like, I was about to say our call time. Wow, we're having one glass of wine and we're talking TV talk whilst we're on a couples trip. But our pickup time is 7 a.m. and I'm still absolutely knackered from yesterday. So I'm gonna do all my skincare and then hop into bed and I'll see you in the morning.
So let me explain more about this place. Korea. So all the cities of Korean Peninsula was connected by the railroad. But during the Korean War, this train was the cargo train. So
to go on a tour of the DMZ, you need to go on a big group tour because you're not actually allowed to go in a smaller group. So you have to be on one of the big coaches, and every single coach that we've seen here is packed. But we have a guide and we've got a bunch of stops along the way. We're at a park right now. I'll put the name of the park on the screen because I will butcher all the pronunciation. But this is basically where you can see over to North Korea. And this is where people will come from South Korea to mourn their relatives, loved ones in North Korea. It's like the closest you can get basically without going into the DMZ itself.
This area is super sad because this is where the war generation will come and mourn their families, their friends, everyone living in North Korea that they lost. So people, the older generation, will come here to mourn. It's especially sad because they're the last of the generation, so there's only about 10 years or so left of them because they're all about 80 years old right now. And they have a theme park like across the way. I don't know if you can see that, but basically that's where the kids will go whilst the older generation are crying essentially. But now they're going to transform the whole space into a theme park to try and say let's celebrate rather than mourn. So let's not have that same sort of sadness that we've had for many years.
There she is. So we just walked up to the observatory, which has this insane view of the cable car and of course the bridges. You've got the newer bridge and then you've also got the remnants of the older bridge. When we got our ticket we were given this little ribbon, so there's this huge wall of ribbons right up here in the observatory, but it's actually quite sad because there was another wall of ribbons when we first came into the park, and those ribbons were basically by people in South Korea writing to their loved ones in North Korea, because of course this is as far as they can go in terms of seeing people that they miss, people that they love, members of their family. So it feels a bit weird being given one as a tourist. I don't think I'll be putting my ribbon up, but I guess it is a beautiful thing to see all of the ribbons here.
Oh, this is quite sweet. People have written things like peace, and yeah, I guess it is a symbol of peace and love.
On March 24th of the following year, 1975, the second tunnel was discovered 13 kilometers north of Cheolwon, Gangwon-do.
Because we're in a military zone, there's a lot of places where you can't take pictures and videos and whatnot, understandably. We now just went through a checkpoint where we had to show our passports to the military, and now we've come to a place where we can actually go into the DMZ itself, because we actually can't go into the DMZ anymore. You used to be able to go to one of the towers inside the DMZ itself, but an American soldier dressed as a tourist tried to get across the border. It's a whole thing, but basically a year ago they stopped people being able to go in because somebody broke the rules ridiculously. So technically we don't go into the DMZ zone itself, but we are going into an underground tunnel which will take us into the DMZ physically. So since signing the armistice, which is where they both agreed to a ceasefire, they found 4 tunnels from North Korea, from the DMZ in North Korea, coming into Seoul. 4 of those tunnels were discovered. They have absolutely no idea how many of them are about, but one of them you can actually go inside, and that's where we technically will go down under and into the actual DMZ. Now you're not allowed to film in there obviously, but it's 25 stories worth, buildings-wise, below the surface, and apparently you have to like bend over when you go in. You get given a safety helmet. It's quite the walk. In fact, there's a diagram here. I'll show you real quick rather than showing you when we go inside, because we can't. So we're going to go down into this walkway. You have to put everything in a locker. You're not even allowed to take your phone, passport, nothing, just everything but the locker key basically. You walk down here and then you go into the tunnel itself, and this is the bit where you have to kind of like duck down. So it's about 10 minutes back and forth, and then they have the concrete barriers. Basically, this is North Korea and this part is South Korea. So this is the DMZ area. We're going to go all the way up to there, and then you can look through and then climb back up. Apparently it's quite steep. Okay, it wasn't that bad. Pretty cool. We definitely did have to duck down, but yeah, it wasn't that bad in terms of like being strenuous. I guess you have to be somewhat fit because it's very steep on the way back up, but it was really cool to see, and insane to think. I find tunnels like that so mad. I've been to the war tunnels in Vietnam, and I just can't get my head over the fact that they would go down, plant the dynamite, like just the fact that so many people died doing it as well. Like it's just insane to go and see and like be in that zone, even though we would never in a million years be able to understand what it felt like to actually be digging those tunnels, or to be stored in those tunnels, you know, like if you were going into war and you have to wait in those tunnels. Crazy to think, but anyways, really cool thing to do and see if you're coming, and it's part of the tour.
We came for lunch in a traditional Korean family-style restaurant. It's basically like a huge buffet and you go and help yourself, but our guide ordered me a vegetarian option, which was basically all these different noodles and a fried egg, and then I just added some of the veggie options from the buffet, and it was absolutely delicious. One of the best meals I had the whole time I was in South Korea. By the way, a lot of people will tell you that you will struggle to find food if you're a vegetarian in South Korea. I personally had absolutely no issues, and I love the food out there. We also had the Gangnam suspension bridge included in our package for the particular itinerary that we were on for the DMZ, and I highly recommend that if you do go on this trip you book a similar package, because honestly this was so beautiful. It was the highlight of my day, and it was a really nice way to wind down after all the heavy stuff we'd just seen. Okay, came back to the hotel after the DMZ tour. I need to give you a full tour of this hotel. It's honestly one of the most beautiful hotels. But dressed and ready, we're gonna go to the night market for some food, and then I'll make sure I give you a tour when we come back, because I mean this is just where you wait for the lift. You get the gist of how incredibly pretty this hotel is, but we need to be fed, so I'll do that first. We've come to Namdaemun Night Market. I'm sure I've butchered the pronunciation, but this is a night market that is really close to the hotel and came highly recommended. And I'm going to add to that recommendation list because honestly it was so good. This is my favourite food I had the whole time I was in South Korea. They are delicious. This whole thing was like 6,000, right? It's nice, but these, however, insane. Carl's just ordered a hot dog. Oh my god, those dumplings are ridiculous. Oh, it's like cornbread. I thought it was going to be cheese for some reason. I was totally in my element. I love this kind of food. I would prefer street food over a fancy restaurant very often. And I did okay considering I was vegetarian. And of course we had to try the hot dogs. It's kind of like a donut though. How would you explain it? A donut? We then popped into one of the photo booths. These are very popular in South Korea. We love doing these back home. What was so fun about this one is not only does it take your picture, it also makes you into a webtoon, and ours were hilarious. We've gone through different genders, different skin tones. Carl's grown a beard. Yeah, your jawline has created a beard in all of them. We were walking past a restaurant and there was an advertisement for foot massage for like 25,000, which we think is around £11, right? £15. So we decided to go in, and it was absolutely great. There is nothing better than going in for a cheeky nighttime massage, in my opinion. This area is amazing. It's super busy. There's loads of shops. There's loads of street food. You can just wander around for hours, and that's what we did.
And then we hopped on the tube and went to a place called Hongik. We had every intention of bar hopping. However, jet lag had another idea. It's a shame because this area was really cool. There was some really fun shops, so we did a little bit of shopping beforehand, and then we just had one drink in a bar as we were in the area, but that's all we lasted. We went back to the hotel, fell asleep, and this is the very next morning. At this point, our days had been flying through our hands. Like, honestly, a couple of hours felt like 10 minutes, so we hadn't even been to Gangnam at this point, which is obviously an absolute must do when you're going to Seoul. So we hopped in a cab and went to Gangnam. I'd seen online this cute little croissant shop, so I was like, okay, let's just head towards there and then we can wander around afterwards. The croissant cafe, I should say, instead of a shop, was really cool. Everything was croissant themed, so like the people that were working in there were wearing croissant pajamas, and there was all these different types of croissants. If I'm honest, they weren't the best in terms of taste, but the novelty of being there was fun enough. It was just really cool being in the area. They had amazing shops here, but I was a little bit shocked out at this point.
Just got back from Gangnam. We basically just went to that croissant cafe. We got some lunch, we had a wander around, but not too much to show you. It was pretty cool though, very cool spot. It's kind of like the Oxford Street of London, if you want to compare it. But let me give you a quick room tour. So first of all, this is where you come into the room. We've got this dressing room, which has got like two sides to it. And then we've kind of just put our cases and whatnot in this area. And then this is the living room section of the room. Actually, let me switch to 0.5. There we go. So you can see the bigger expanse of it. So we've got a living room section with its own like TV area. And then look at this boudoir, Parisian bedroom. It's so cool. We weren't expecting it either. So we'd booked like one of the standard rooms and they upgraded us to this room because we were staying for 4 nights. But it has been so good, and this bed has been insanely cozy. This is the reason that we keep getting jet lag, because it's so comfy. We've got cool views outside as well. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it that great in the night time, but we've kind of got a view over there and then a view there and then kind of like a big building in the middle. And then the bathroom has got a roll top bath. It's huge. It's got one of those fancy toilets that has all the different bidet situations. It's got a heated toilet seat. It is so pretty, this room. So even though we've only been here for 4 nights, well, technically tonight will be our 4th night, we've been spending a lot of time here. And I'm sure you can understand why.
After a couple of drinks in the hotel bar, we went to one of the local Korean barbecues. Now listen, I am vegetarian, as you guys know, so I didn't think that I would get on in a Korean barbecue, but I was wrong. This is one of my favourite meals of the trip. I was just being a good girlfriend because I knew that my boyfriend wanted to go to a Korean barbecue, and I thought, who am I to deny you of that? But actually, something that I didn't know is not only do they have, of course, the meat that you'll see in front. Now, if you're a bit squeamish as a veggie, then you might not like that because they are cooking the meat right in front of you. But I have always lived with meat eaters, so it's something that I've coped with since I was 8 years old. It doesn't really bother me. But there was so many vegetarian options. I had grilled cheese, I had grilled veggies, I had so many salads, noodles, a kimchi pancake. It was absolutely delicious. Definitely do not be put off. We ended up heading back to Gangnam that evening and we had a few drinks and a couple of speakeasies, but I didn't film any of it. Seoul was amazing. I was only there for 3 nights, but I definitely recommend it and I intend to go back. It was definitely a city that I thought was such an easy place to enjoy. I don't know if it's just the exchange rate for the time that we were there, but we found it incredible value for money. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you all on my next adventure.